Listen, I am well aware that right now the fashionable thing to do is hate on EA, and go on long rants and monologues about how awful that this company has been. And I don't want to seem like I'm just jumping on trends, right? I don't want to seem like that. If you know me though, and you're familiar with my channel and my channels, you probably know I wouldn't do that. But if you are new around here, I don't want it to seem like I am just hating on EA because it's a fashionable thing to do, right? I just woke up on a lovely morning and I have not talked about this yet, and there's an update to it as well. And I also tried to log into the FIFA servers today. I've been stuck on this screen for 20 minutes. So just somehow, some way, things continue to pile up, and the PR nightmare somehow it doesn't end. It just never ends right now. How it's possible, I wish I had any singular answer for you. I am utterly clueless. Now we're gonna go through and read this article. And you guys need to, like the title says, brace yourself. EA is thinking real hard about inserting ads into its video games, and not just its video games in terms of free-to-play games, the little games. No, we're talking AAA titles that cost $70, and then, most people will get the enhanced versions of those because you're already spending $70. Why not buy the $80 version to get some extra stuff, or even the $100 version? $100 games out there, if you buy the bigger versions, you will still get ads in your games. And we're going to read through the whole article. I'm going to tie this back to kind of where the big issue is with FIFA right now. And I think people are starting to get there right now, or with FC, where a tangible, legitimate way for us to actually make a change is to stop buying microtransactions. Completely having everybody quit the game altogether for a few days or whatever is probably a good way to get bad PR for them. Is it a great way to perhaps affect their long-term revenue? Probably not, right? So we're going to tie all this back in as I discuss these things, but, bear with me. We're going to read through his article here. EA Andrew Wilson dreaming about ways to deliver ads to players, up to and including potentially sticking them into $60 to $70 AAA video games. That's per a recent earnings call between Wilson and EA investors, in which the EA boss was asked if there were plans for more dynamic ad insertion across more traditional AAA games. Now, wouldn't that be awesome? And then Wilson's answer: we have teams internally in the company right now looking at how do we do very thoughtful implementations inside of our game experiences. And I'm sure they're going to be quite thoughtful, aren't they? To be clear, it sounds like EA's efforts at in-game ads are still very much in the drawing board stage, but Wilson is clear that it's something the company is dedicating a fair bit of brain power to. They don't have a lot of it, so that's the majority of their brain power. As we think about the many, many billions of hours spent both playing, creating, watching, and connecting, and where much of that engagement happens to be on the bounds of a traditional game experience, our expectation is that advertising has an opportunity to be a meaningful driver of growth for us, Wilson told investors, right? And he's telling the investors this. He's being very specific with his wording here. He's saying, just think about the many billions and billions of hours spent. Think about the impressions that we could get with these ads. Think about just the extra revenue we could create with these ads. He is salivating. The investors are salivating that, well, if there's not really any competition for our games, if we monopolize a lot of these games out, they don't really have a good alternative. They're going to be stuck with kind of whatever we want to force them, or force on them, perhaps, like ads. And I don't know what it even means by ads. We're not really sure. I do believe they're very calculated with what they want to say. So the fact that Andrew Wilson even brought this up tells me that they are thinking about this. They're testing the waters. Let's see what the fan reaction, public reaction is. They know it's not going to be good, but how bad actually is it is going to be what they're probably trying to decipher, right? Let's keep going here. In less flowery terms, that reads as loads of people play our games and we sure could make bank if we show them ads. I mean, that's exactly right. And to be fair, things like this have existed in games for a little while. Even in FIFA, they have ads you'd expect to see in a real life soccer game. On the side of the pitch, on the boards, they have ads that are on the side of it that are animated. But then let's keep reading here. For plenty of people, that's all totally fine, so long as it's not garish and obtrusive. And Wilson tells investors EA is being very thoughtful as it considers the potential of slotting ads into its games. Then again, the company does have a track record of some less than subtle advertising in the games it's already released. In 2020, as Tom's Hardware notes, EA came under fire for full screen ads for the boys in UFC 4, which were later removed. Perhaps it's learned its lesson. Yeah, good one. But this is the thing to me. We are already seeing some ads in these games and they're already not obtrusive. The fact that he's saying, we're thinking about ways to implement them thoughtfully. means we're gonna see them more often, which then means to me they will once again push this however far they can push this. Say this starts next year and it is maybe on loading screens you will see an ad or something like that, which by the way, just the thought of that is fucking hilarious to me, that these clowns are not making enough money as is and they just cannot stop seeing dollar signs in everything and everywhere. But it's not just going to end with their first implementation of this. It is just going to get worse. We go to Eurogamer articles, another quote from Andrew Wilson. To answer your question on advertising broadly again, I think it's still early on that front. And we have looked over the course of our history to be very thoughtful about advertising in the context of our play experiences. But again, okay, well that just, you know what this means. But again, that just means, you know, despite all this, actually, as we think about the many billions of hours played, like that's where that quote comes in. It has the opportunity to be a meaningful driver of growth for us, right? You know, when this inevitably does come out, even if it's extremely small, we just need to be aware that there is almost no way in hell it ends there. They're gonna see to the level of intrusiveness that they can make it. That they're just gonna see. It's gonna be all a feel out to see how far they will take advertising. And this is not something that's coming into a free-to-play game. This is not something that's just coming into a smaller studio that needs extra help. This is coming into the studio that is one of the richest companies on the planet. They have a $34.15 billion market cap. Is the world's 578th most valuable company, according to companiesmarketcap.com. And this is the thing that's been a trend with EA recently, is they are not going to stop until they push you over the edge, basically. They're not stopping with the microtransactions of FIFA until they just drive everybody away apart from the whales and then their game ends up dying. That is the future for a lot of these games if they don't actually wake up and realize you can only extort so far and get people addicted so much. People are not absolutely idiots and they do eventually catch on to these types of things. The second a competitor comes around, I mean, why would you not choose the competitor? I know 2K is, has a lot of its flaws too, and there's only really one way to find out how a football 2K game would be. We don't know. But to me, if you want to be pessimistic, obviously it's that they'll get away with whatever they want to. Everyone's addicted to the game. Everyone will be back no matter what they do. But people have thought that about many other game franchises in the past, and that has not been what has happened. And many other things in the past in general that have seemed completely incapable of falling off have indeed fallen off. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. I got some comments being like, you know, I want to see you get mad and rage at the articles and stuff like that. And there's times when, you know, you've seen, if you watch my videos, you know there are times when I do get upset. But also, you know, I don't want to be the guy who just yells, because people just don't take those guys seriously a lot of the time, which isn't necessarily the right thing to do. But if you're a guy who just like screams at every rant video, they're probably not going to take you seriously. But anyway, I want to read some of the comments now that have to do with kind of, you know, FIFA and the way things are going right now. I won't talk about, you know, any of the drama at the moment. I'll talk about that maybe in my other videos when I read the comment sections. But for this video, I'm gonna talk about just along the lines of like EA and where things have gone wrong with them so far and your guys' comments on that. Sinful says, if everyone demonizes FC points, you know what EA is going to do for EAFC 25 JFC. Make the packs incredibly enticing for low FC points, almost as if it's worth paying for. Like an 83-100 for $5 or $10, and they have the avenue of making money through FC points through incredible evos that push the power curve. $10 for a top 10 player at the time. You get what I'm saying? And I do understand that. But would that not be better than what we got right now? That would at least be a change. That would at least make it so that spending money would be more worth it than at that rate, right? And if the game's all right and 83 by 100 is $5, then maybe it is worth your money. You know, right now we just know it's not, and it's absolutely not. The prices were to change a little bit to where they were super cheap, then that would be different, and that would be a positive change for us. And even if they get cheaper, the pack weight still is ass, then it's still not worth it. But at least if that were to happen, it'd still be a change in the positive direction. There's a comment here from Whimsical Whale. Ads is good business, basically a money printing machine, but one thing is very apparent with the news. Future FC versions are gonna suck. Guess what? Gameplay will no longer be the main focus. I mean, it hasn't been for many years now. I feel like EA knows this game has reached its max potential. I guarantee you, some PhD sitting in an EA-owned cubicle has been crunching these numbers and found that fun and revenue are empirically inversely correlated. Call me a pessimist, but it's only going downhill from here, boys. Pray another game comes out. And I want to talk about that last part there, because where their main focus comes in, I think that the majority of EA's like resources and power goes into is figuring out the psychology of gamers and figuring out how do we make the most money and keep the most eyes on our products that we possibly can and keep people playing for as long as they possibly can. And their thoughts are starting with there, not make a good game to get and keep people's attention and then like go from there. It starts the other way around. It's okay, we need to have this element, this element, this element into whatever game we make, because that is how we know people get addicted to these, right? Addicted might not be the right word, but it's a way to trick your brain into coming back, you know? I think their priorities are just they're there, and that shows you the type of company that they are. And sad as these, I'm still super passionate about the game they make. I don't want people to get it fucked up. I still am passionate about EAFC, FIFA, whatever. Like, I'm still passionate about that because I think I always probably will be to an extent. But yeah, they are gonna end up doing the thing where they're gonna just basically attempt to crash and burn, it feels like. They're not gonna like slowly say, hey, you know, we were going too far with this, let's take it back, think about the long term. To me, they're just gonna crash and burn. They're gonna go all out as long as they possibly can and just ride the flame out. Like you said, I feel like EA knows this game has reached its max potential. There's a chance that is true, and they are just gonna literally drive until the wheels fall off, basically, and just keep going more store packs, more expensive, more expensive, more expensive, more ads, this and that, until one day they end up with no more consumers or a significant amount less, right? And not like ease things up. I think you're right. That is like a legitimate chance that they do end up doing that. To me, it's not the smart thing, even remotely the smart thing, but they could do it. And yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please subscribe to the second channel if you're new, and thank you for being here. I love you all. Thanks for the resume. Peace.